I'm just looking at, and maybe yellow isn't my best color. I sort
Yeah,
of have
maybe it
this,
brings out the blue in your eyes, or the yellow
no,
around your eyes. That's even worse, Gary.
it brings out the pink in my skin. So thanks for joining me. We're
You're absolutely welcome.
gonna have 10 minutes of a chat. So who are you? What do you do?
Oh, go. Well, in summary, I mean, it's kind of hard to know where to begin, but
At the
um,
start.
at
No,
the
I'm only
beginning is
joking.
the
I'm only
best
joking.
spot. But I suppose I'm Lorraine. I work for Onnec. I'm in health and safety. I have been for about 4 years now. Um, I had a little bit of an epiphany at my career break when I decided to stop working for a few years and have some kids, and decided that I had been working for Onnec I'm actually 20 years with Onnec next month.
Ah,
And in 2016, I kind of said, look, when I go back, I've got to do something different. I've been working with Matt for years, and he was fantastic, a really, really great mentor, and he's always guided me on a good path. And I just kind of said, if I'm going to go back, I've got to be thinking of my two boys, and I want to do something new and different, or else my mind might just shut down completely. And it was important to just keep that bad boy going. And I really wanted to do something that was on a site, because I've
so
been hearing about sites for years and years, working on an administrative level, and I never really knew what we did exactly. And that
that's
bugged
really
me.
interesting. So interesting because you're not really a return to worker, but you sort of are a little
Yeah.
bit. And you have some of the empathy, I guess, for what it's like, children so close together,
Yeah.
coming back. There's no doubt that after you've had children and you've had the time up, we could like to say we're all the same, but are we? I'm a man.
No.
I don't
Oh,
know.
we've evolved. We've different priorities in life. We have to juggle more. And for me, that's was the heart of the whole thing. It was like, I need to make this work, but also I need to make sure that I'm providing for my family as much as I can, but also providing for my mind, my soul, to just, keep this thing going for a while, and to learn something. I had done so much but so little in Keddington, or Onnec as it's known now. And I just wanted to make sure that I could, make sure I monopolize the time that I had. I mean, I don't know, I might finish up work in another 5 years and 10 years, and I want it to be good. I look back and go, yeah, you did something a little bit interesting. But to be honest with you, Gary, health and safety was never the road I would have been going down on. I mean, when I was working and I did so many of the big tenders, I always looked at the health and safety section and thought, oh my God, imagine having to fill out that section. It must be honestly the most boring job in the world. And really, I suppose it's so surprising to me that this is what I'm doing, but I love it. It's so different, and I really want to try and change the perceptions of that,
Hmm.
because it is very different. It's very varied. There's an amazing amount of roles that you can have within health and safety as well, environmental, sustainability, well-being, all that lovely stuff. But for me, I was kind of like, let's just get out there and get out on the site. I mean, I look okay today, but normally I have a hard hat on and I'm dressed like a bloke going to work every day. And I'm
Are you
outside.
allowed to say that? Are you allowed to say that?
Say what
You
you want.
can.
Fine, I can say it. I can say it because it's the reality. And women in construction now, it's the thing, it's the done thing. We're
Yeah.
not the mythical creatures that we were years ago, especially in the data center environment, which is what I'm working in at the moment for Onnec. So I'm looking after a couple of sites now, and one in Dublin and one in the Nordics, and that's really challenging. But
Yeah.
that's what I came into this whole role for, and I got my
What's an,
degree and
so what would be a
in
day?
flying.
What's a day in the life? If we're making a program, what's the day in the life of Lorraine? Man, it must be packed.
Day in the life. A site day is up at 5 a.m. and work at 6:15. And then most prep for meetings in the morning, answering mails, looking at what we need to do for the day. Then it's normally a site inspection. So I mean, the teams are out here, they're outside working at 7:30. So it's early start. And you
Yeah.
just gotta go with that. That's the life. And you know, it's it's busy here at that time anyway. You know, it's not like you're sitting here on your own. There's lots of people that are starting early, trying to get that balance in life, starting and finishing work early to try and spend that little bit of time with their friends and family. So I would be working flat out normally until like lunchtime, a little bit after lunch, and then head home, and then it's off to the other job, and it's transfer of ownership from babysitters, kids, and then looking after the boys then for a few hours, and then it's just normally it's check on mails about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a little dip in, see what's going on so that you're prepped for the next day. You know
So
what's
that's what
coming.
works for you.
Just in case something has happened while you've been gone for those few hours, happened to your other baby, you know, making sure that everything's okay. And then it's bed, you know.
So
Head down.
discipline
Oh,
is the word
yes,
I absolutely have to. That sounds like a very disciplined approach to the day.
Yeah, but sure, Gary, it has to be. That's kind of what families are like these days. When you've got two people working, you've got to be like that, or else it's chaos. You know, and to me, it's a much calmer environment than it was a couple of years ago when I was on site and studying in the evening time and
Yes.
trying to get my degree at the same time. And I did a couple of multiple courses at the same time because I don't know, I'm a bit stupid, I don't know, and I just decided to just cram it all in. Like the way I decided to have one child back to back is like just do it and just have a bit of a crazy time and it will all work out in the end. That's what my mother said. And it kind of does, because now you're kind of reaping the benefits of all that hard work. And it's working out really well because you've learned so much, but then every day is a school day here, every single day.
So discipline is a big thing. Where does the confidence, the inner confidence come from? Because when you're away from the working environment for a while, you lose a little bit. Sometimes people talk about your own identity. Is that my
Yeah.
identity now? Is this going to be? Where do you get the confidence to say
Confidence comes with knowledge, in my opinion, because
knowledge?
when you first get on site, you know, you have to understand, and that's knowledge about your own self, knowing that, you know, I don't know whether this is for me. Can I ask a few questions? Know what your boundaries are, know what your limits are, make sure you understand where you need to go off, talk to the right people. And then once you know what you're talking about, confidence then comes, and then just practice, making sure you're getting out there, you're talking to people, you're talking to large groups of people. And again, that comes with, you know, do a course on talking to people, you know, learn how to communicate, make sure that you learn from people who do this all the time. Keep your ears open all the time, have notebooks with you, write everything down so you can look back on notes, and just be confident in your approach, and just try and sound like you know what you're talking about. And if you don't, put your hand up and say, I don't know what that's about, and have the confidence to do that as well, because that's nearly as important.
Isn't that a really interesting point you bring up? Because no matter who I ever talk to at whatever level, top, everyone suffers a bit from imposter syndrome. It's actually important.
I think it just brings you down to that right level so that you're not completely arrogant, which is a horrible trait in any person. You have to know your limits, you
Yeah,
know what you're good at, know what you're not good at.
yeah,
And make sure you understand that you speak to the right people who are good at it, and try and be like a sponge.
yeah, yeah.
Just learn from the best and have those people around you. And I'm lucky because that's the environment that I'm in at the moment. But
For sure. But it's
that
changed.
could change tomorrow, you know.
I
And
know. Well,
there
that's
for
the
that.
word, isn't it? That's the word. Change, discipline, adaptable. This whole idea and concept of lifelong learning is interesting too. Now it's got a term. It didn't have a term. You were sort of, oh yeah, I'm going back to college. It's sort of all part of it. And I think, as you said earlier, that knowledge gives you the confidence. That confidence gives you the pedigree.
Absolutely.
Um, um, Really interesting. What's your biggest challenge, do you think?
Biggest challenge, it changes day to day. I mean, today it could be the weather, it could be tech, it could be all of these different tech that we're using all the time. It could be juggling priorities, like getting the time to prepare for this meeting to make sure that I knew what I was going to be talking about. But I suppose for me in health and safety, it's all of the different varieties of subjects that you might come across, particularly because we've just come out of a 3-year project, we're in construction. that's challenges every day. You're learning new things every day and you're learning little tiny bits and try and put all those jigsaw pieces together to get a good knowledge of what you're doing, but also what you're doing and what the other contractors are doing, so that you know that your guys are safe and you're coming in every day and you know that things are going to be okay. So that's challenging because it's so incredibly varied, and
Yeah.
you're expected to know what's going on with everything, and you're just you know it's just never going to be the case. Not in this environment, not in this job, I don't think.
No, and I guess some people excel with that variability, and some people prefer I'm making widgets every day, and the widgets are going to be a certain size and a certain
Yeah.
number. And it's to find that groove. As you say, after you went away to build your family, you came back to build digital infrastructure. You're just building
Yes.
constantly. You're just
Yes,
building constantly.
all the time. I mean, it's like we feel like we're never going to get away, but it's great because you feel like there's opportunities knocking on your door all the time.
Yeah.
And that's really good. You know, because sometimes when you're coming into something new, you're kind of thinking, am I crazy? Should I just stayed and done what I was doing? But no regrets about that change, because how could I? You know, it's
And you change. You used the word earlier. You change as a person.
absolutely, yeah,
You
and
know,
that's not a bad thing.
that's not a bad thing. Lorraine, it's been a wonderful little chat.
Thank
Uh,
you, Gary.
you know an awful lot of stuff about an awful lot of stuff. You've lived a real life so far. It
That's
sounds
the
like
idea, hopefully.
give or take, you're trying to keep it on your own terms, which is great. You're not allowing
Yes.
yourself to sort of say, I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda. You're trying to actually take the environment that's you face and adapt to it. You're a good exemplar. You're a wonderful exemplar and a great way to kick off Talent Month. So thank you, Lorraine. Really appreciate it.
You're very
And
welcome, Gary.
wishing you every success, both building a family and building data centers.
We'll see what happens. Let's hope they all survive. That's the idea.
Survival is good.
Exactly.